Hey friends, Pastor Paul here with your weekly update about what we've been studying in the book of Genesis. We're continuing in the life of Abraham in Genesis 16 and 17. That's what we looked at this past week. And we see that a recurring theme of the faith journey of Abram is a struggle to wait on God. Yes, God has made some great promises to him, promises that Abram believes in, but Abram is causing some problems here by taking matters into his own hands. Abram and Sarai have been waiting over 10 years for God to bring about their promised heir, but God is not quick to act. And so they decided to help God along with this process. Sarai suggests to Abram that he should sleep with her servant Hagar and bring an heir through her. Abram shows no reluctance, and Hagar becomes pregnant. But before we get a clear indication that this is not God's plan, that shows up in Genesis 17, we see signs that this is not the path of God's intended blessing. Enmity grows between Sarai and Hagar, leading to Hagar's departure into the wilderness. God meets Hagar there and tells her to return and submit, but also offers her a consolation that she will be blessed with many descendants. So now, finally, at age 86, Abram has a son named Ishmael. Now, Genesis 17 moves us forward 13 years, and God speaks to Abram once again, but this time with a reaffirmation of the promise of greatly increasing his numbers. Along with this reaffirmation of the promise, God renames Abraham, so he goes from being known as Abram, the exalted father, to Abraham, a father of a multitude. God also institutes this practice of circumcision, but not just as a ritual, but it's a sign of God's covenant with Abraham for him and all of his descendants. Sarai also receives a blessing with her name being changed to Sarah, and God affirms to Sarah and Abraham that they will have a child together. Now, this seems pretty ridiculous to Abraham, and he laughs at the suggestion, but God is serious. Abraham instead offers up his son Ishmael. Why not Ishmael, my son? I already have a son, right? My own flesh and blood, use him. God will bless Ishmael, which was the plan that Abram and Sarai concocted before this new revelation here in Genesis 17. God will bless Ishmael, but God's promises will not come through Ishmael. Rather, the son of promise who is to be Isaac, which also means he laughs, which is pretty fitting, isn't it? Isaac, the son of promise, will be born to them in a year. Abraham's faith in God is reaffirmed, and this is something that's made painfully obvious as he follows God's direction to undergo the rite of circumcision. Ouch! At 99, he does this, and he has his 13-year-old son, Ishmael, and every male in the household, the slaves, servants, all of them who are there in his household, they are circumcised. And this, I think, is an affirmation that Abraham has in his faith of God. He's serious about this, right? Because otherwise, why would you do that? And so this is him affirming God's plans for him and his future. And this rite of circumcision is a really big deal, and it stretches even into the New Testament with its significance, but that's another conversation for another study. So this week, we're going to continue in chapters 18 and 19, and we'll find out about Sarah's response to hearing the news that she's going to give birth to a child, and also we'll find out the trouble that Lot is in once again. He always gets himself in trouble, and we'll see what happens there. So I invite you to join in Tuesday night at 7 o'clock as we continue our study through the life of Abraham.